welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna from AJ's Creations by Johanna, and today I'm going to stick to the Dollar Tree projects because I think they have some really cool stuff that we can make to look incredibly beautiful. So if you've watched my dry brushing videos before, I did do a little ornament for Halloween, the little pumpkin head man. You remember him. And I'm going to do the same thing today with the Santa Claus and a couple of the ornaments. Now I had demonstration. One's an ornament and the other one is the little figurine of Santa. Now I've already started on the white because the white is several coats to get it a little deeper. I like my white to have little shadows but not too much that it looks faded. So I've gone ahead and done the white. So I am going to go ahead and start with the red on Santa so that I can show you again, if you haven't seen my other dry brush videos, that you can see how we get this effect. This is, like I said before, this is Scarlet from Acryology. Also Dollar Tree. I'm trying to use as much Dollar Tree as I can. I'm going to start with a couple of drops because it's a small piece and we don't really use a lot. And I'm going to grab my very small size 0 dry brush. And like I said in the intro, if you have a hard time finding them, they're not easy to find. Just go to your Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Just go to the art center and look for just plain white firm bristles, and you'd round brush, and you'd probably be able to do this. All right, so I've picked up paint. I guess I should put it in here. I've picked up paint. It's nice and wet. Now I'm going to take it off. Just kind of go round and round, just enough so that the only paint that's on there is on the bristles. Okay? It's on the bristles, not soaking. Just paint on the bristles is all we want. Okay? And then we're going to come to our piece and we're going to pound. We're going to pound, and as as you probably have noticed already, you can't see the red, probably not on camera. I can see a little bit, but red on black takes several coats, but it's basically you're pounding, 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 and then when we go into other coats, you're going to be pound out, pound out, pound out. But for now, we're just going to pound, 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 because we're laying down the first layer of paint. We want to keep as much paint on the piece that we possibly can have. Right? Load up with paint. Take the paint off. Straighten your bristles by going sideways, like that. And pound your little part out over here. dry for a little bit and come back and give it more coats. In the meantime, I'm going to put the first layer of red on my ornament. So the first layer of this one is also done. I wanted to let you know, because it's a flat, smooth surface, when you're laying down your paint, it's going to be a little wetter. Your brush is going to be a little wetter than it would be if there was a lot of texture on your piece. Then you go a lot drier brush than when it's flat. It takes a lot more paint when it's flat to get the same effect. Okay, so you can barely see it on screen that there's red on there, but that's the first one. We're going to wait till that's totally dry, and then we're going to work on building it up so it's a nice bright red on our pieces. share with you. One of the things that I do, and you can see, at least I hope you can see, where, you know, some of this goes over. And so my little secret here, not that it's a big secret, but you know, my little tip here is, now I take the black because I'm ready to put in more than the red. And so I'm just going to go over the red in the places that have another color. And I just bring it back to the black so that I can lay down color on top of that and not have the red bleed through. The red is a very strong color, and it tends to bleed through anything you put on top of it except black. So you want to just cover up all the black, all the red, including the beard. And we'll just, you know, just put some white over it, especially where it's going to be white. You want to do this because otherwise you're going to have pink. You're not going to have white, you're going to have pink. So you really do want to lay down some solid layers of white if one layer isn't enough. If you're not using quality paint, then you really do want to do a couple of layers. This is Ceramcoat, which is for ceramic. So one coat of black over the red parts is fine. So now you're going to have your actual red sections really clearly delineated. And I have a lot of light that's right in front of my eye, so I can't always see exactly how it's coming through. But I need a lot of light because, you know, I'm old. I'm blind as a bat, and I need the light so that I can see what it is that I'm painting. I'm just gonna, you know, very carefully with a very fine detailed brush, just gonna cover where all the red bled over on sections that are not going to be red. For example, here I want to have a nice thick coat because that's going to be white. That's the fur in Santa's coat, the fur trim, and that's going to be white. So we want it nice and thick coat of black so it doesn't bleed through. Same thing over here on his wrist. That's also white fur. And on his glove, I think Santa's going to have green gloves this year. I think he looks cute with his little green gloves, even though it's supposed to be white, but it gets boring to have the wrists white and the gloves white. So we're gonna give Santa a pop of color this year, and he's gonna have green gloves. Okay. And then of course right here in the middle we want a really nice coat of black because that is his belt, and his belt is black. We want a really nice coat of black over all that red, because then it's just going to stay right there. If you get into those lines, that's good because those are your shadows. The whole point of having the black is to have some shadows to create definition. And you know, now that I'm talking about that, and I'll continue and make sure that I put in the black everywhere it goes, but I want to show you this. So this is where I'm at so far with the flat painting. And as you can see, there are no shadows. The color is a lot vibrant, but there are no shadows to give it much depth or definition. And that's why I would rather do the dry brush technique, because I think it gives it a lot more character than just flat painting. But here is where I'm at, and basically this is kind of like what I was doing with the black. This is just, you know, grab some paint and lay it down. You have to be a lot more careful. This is less forgiving, because if you go onto the red, there's no covering that except with more paint, and you end up with a blob. So you have to be really, really careful, because it's just lay down paint, and that's pretty much it. All right, so I will continue working on both so that you can see the difference. And I'm going to finish putting the black down to cover all the overlaps, and then let that dry for a little bit, and we'll come back and talk a little more. Okay, so here are the finished products. Here is my dry brushed Santa and my flat paint Santa. Of course, you know my preference. I really like dry brush. It has a lot more character to it with the shadows, and textures. The flat paint is basically just following the lines, and God forbid you go over the lines, then you got to cover it, and white is not easy to cover. Okay. So these are my two little guys that are done. This is the broken tree that I glued back together. He's a little bland. I gotta figure out what else can I do to him to make him a little more sparkly. The round, which I think I'm going to put maybe some pearl white on the white. Again, more sparkly. I like sparkle and bright. And this I do not like at all. So I'm going to paint it black and start over, probably red with green stitching. Not a big fan of the all green, especially that light green. So this will get redone. But that's pretty much it for me. There they are, my little guys. So I guess my point is, even the $1 plaster / ceramic, they call it ceramic, it's really plaster. Even that can look really pretty. It all depends on how you paint it and how much care you put into it. But you can make a $1 piece look very nice, very expensive, and classy. Okay? Hope you like this video. I will see you next time on AJ's Creations by Johanna. Bye!